Welcome, YouTubians and Byard Army.
YouTubians. Never heard that one before. I love it.
Welcome to our next job, and thank you for joining us. Would you like to start, Kate, of what you've been up to today and tomorrow?
Today's nearly over now. I haven't got a watch on, but
About 2 o'clock.
I did have a watch on.
It's 2 o'clock.
So
Time
2
for Kate to get the tools
go to bed.
back in the bag.
So we are, well, I'm doing some conduit work today.
Yeah. So this building is around, what would it be, 140 years old?
80 something, she said.
1880 something, so it's quite old, 3-storey.
There's even got bells at the front for like the servants and stuff like that. Us, women, back in the day.
The fact, you know, it's not been touched in sort of 40, 50
years, yeah.
It's pretty bad. And we actually I came here probably 3 or 4 months ago when they had like half the lights in the house went, and I basically tracked it down, and it was actually a junction box, one of about 10,000 in this house probably. Junction box underneath the floor, and it had all just completely melted, pretty much had caught fire and then extinguished itself. So
Kaput.
yeah, I've basically put to a customer that it'd be a good idea just to upgrade the fuse board, because then if, you know, it's probably overdue a rewire now. So if she doesn't want to go down that route, at least if you upgrade the fuse board, it's going to kind of compensate a little bit. So I've got to do a fuse board change, but also the earthing and the bonding is atrocious. I think it's on a TNS supply.
TNS, and it's on like a 1mm cable.
Yeah, the main earth is like 1.5 mil.
So I've got to run 25mm conduit all around the house, and it's probably a really bad day to wear shorts because it's stinging nettles and grass and stuff. So.
In the hedge.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's loads to do on this one. We've got to basically bring it into the 21st century, up to the 18th edition, or as much as we can. So we're going to be putting an RCBO board in. Kate's going to be running 3 different bonding cables, because we've got one for the gas that needs to be put in, one for the water, and also we've got some lead soil pipes. Basically, I've checked, it goes all the way up, and sometimes then you've got like a plastic pan connector or something, which means that you wouldn't need to bond it, because then it's not extraneous because it doesn't come into the property, but this one comes all the way in. So it's unlikely, you know, you'd ever get a shock off it if you know, all the worst happened and stuff, but
it'd be safe and story.
It's still an extraneous conductive part, so we'll be bonding that as well with a nice big strap. We're not going to just run them off each other and do it the lazy way of running one 10mm or whatever over to it and then daisy chain them. We want to run 3 separate supplies. So
do it properly, might as well, while we're doing it.
That's it, do it one way.
I'm going to get on my hands and knees, I might as well do it properly.
Oh yeah, so. Can you say that?
Oh, yeah.
What you doing over there, Kate?
Ow! Sorry, plants, you're getting a bit squished. Oh, hello. Would have been stung once. Yeah, so we've got to try and get around here, which might be a bit of a problem. We love problems, don't we, Ben?
We do, yeah.
Never give a problem.
So basically, the fuse board is the other side of there. Kate's got to basically take the conduit down there, across there, and then run it down. And the only real easy way, without looking too bad, is to basically go underneath this step here. And then it's going to continue around this corner, down across here, around the drain, and then down there. We've got the gas meter here, so we can basically terminate one of them into there. Another one will come and do this here, because that does
so
go
many spiders down here.
all the way up there and into the property. And then the water is actually the other side of here. So luckily they're all in the same place.
I just get all the crap jobs tonight, Ben.
No. When I told you this job had to be done and you saw those hedges, you jumped to the opportunity.
I literally, yeah. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Look at my face.
So we've got our conduit there, a bit of flexi to go around the drain pipe, because yeah, it's going to be a nightmare trying to squeeze behind there with standard conduit, all of our fixings in there.
10mm cable.
10mm, 50 metres of, because like I said, we're running 3 different supplies in there. And then we'll label them all up in the new board as well. Proper job.
Proper job, like.
Yeah.
I feel bad squishing our plants, but
I wish this camera would stop jerking all over the place.
Twerking.
Twerking or jerking.
Twerking.
Bloody phone is going again.
Ding.
Yeah, so...
You're so popular, Ben.
I'm not popular.
Everybody
It's
wants to
Instagram.
speak
It's
to
you and
you.
your Instagram clan.
Is it?
Yeah.
The Instagram gals.
Gals.
The gals.
Stealing stuff from my van again. Oh God. I'm sorry that you have to see that, viewers. Goodbye, Kate. So then, I will walk you through this job. Spin you around. Right. So, get a load of that. Lovely. Nice old tails. They're like 6mm tails or something daft. Into the Henley block. And we've got here is our incoming. So we're on a TNS system here, and then that sort of goes outside. And I think that is a little bond that goes to the gas at the moment, but obviously it's undersized and all the rest of it. Then we've got 6mm main earth here, which if you were to do an adiabatic, it probably would work out, but just going to put 16 in for that. And then these two boards here, got the old rewirable one there, and then this sort of 17th edition with no RCDs in it. So basically that's going, tails are going, earth is going, so that'll all be redone. We've got a new RCBO board to go in here. Probably going to have to extend the trunk in, so it's going to come down into the new board. And then, yeah, Kate will run, because that's there where the bonding is. So go straight at the back out here somewhere probably, or lower if we can get out of the back of the board.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Right, so we're just working out now how to get from inside to outside for these bonding cables. I'm using our Luden board. If we turn that over.
It's hot in here.
It's bloody warm, isn't it?
Very hot.
Even with that, I think we reckon that there's a thunderstorm on its way.
Can't wait to sit outside.
I wasn't going to tell her.
Where's the umbrella, Ben?
Get a Byard electrical umbrella printed. Get a little, what is it, like a gazebo?
All the ones with like a little hat, and I can just wear it on my head.
Well, a little one just to come out the top of here with a little.
I think I'd look great.
So, I mean, if that is offered up, I'm going to watch I don't bloody cut these tails with a metal board in my hands, but if that were to 6, that's just about wide enough, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So if you imagine our hole, then it's going to be all the way to here, so we could get away with going through there.
Yeah.
Sound like a plan?
Trust me.
Do I trust you? What with that?
And you.
Yeah, so what we're going to do, a little tip for anyone, because obviously we've got 3 lots of 10mm, so we need really this 24mm.
I think it's 24.
Yeah, 24mm drill bit eventually, but what we don't want to do is just go through with that one first, because it can be quite difficult. It'll sort of keep locking inside the brick, so we're going to start off
hole.
with the smaller one,
Maybe
then go to the medium one, which I think is 16mm.
Yeah.
So it's 12, 16, then 24, and then that should make it a bit easier to get through. Quick maths.
Let's go. Oh, it's coming. It's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring.
All good?
Yeah, it's all good.
Cool.
There's a big hole in the wall. Nice one. Hopefully it stops raining as well, because I'm going to get soup.
Cool. You still going to brave the weather? You get it started.
Oh, I might as well, I'm already wet.
Do you know what Kate's noticed as well? Actually, I noticed it, so I will take the hit on this one. Any Harry Potter fans, look at that fireplace.
Diagonally.
God's sake.
Get in.
Get in.
Get some brick dust.
End up at the Ministry of Magic.
Yeah. I won't mind going there.
You're a witch.
Probably dry. A witch. I do have a black cat.
I'm very sweaty. So when you do your fuse board changes, how do you go about your testing? The sparkers around here, I know that they change the board first and then do like just some ZS's at the end. So the way that we tend to do it is we do all of our inspection testing first to find out whether we've got any faults, short circuits, open circuits, all that kind of stuff. Once we get to a stage where all the testing's done and then we have any faults, if we have faults, we can then put to the customer, look, we've got these problems, we need to address them, fix them. You know, generally if it's sort of code 2s and code 1s, what would be on any ICR, then that's what we change. You're confirming that the circuits are safe to re-energize and reconnect into the new board. So you've got to kind of make sure that they're all tested beforehand. I mean, I don't know how some of the sparkers test afterwards, because surely they'd get into a scenario where they'd sort of change the board, try and power it up, and it's just tripping straight away. I know that that would happen on a lot of the boards that we did if we did our testing afterwards. You wouldn't find, you know, sort of borrowed neutrals and stuff like that, which would be a nightmare to try and, you know, sort after the board was done, because then you've got to start taking it all apart and putting, you know, both lighting circuits on one breaker and stuff like that. So when I go home, I then write all of this into the NIC EIC online certification sort of platform. We don't do any sort of, well, I don't do any iPads or anything. Kate's got an iPad to do like her little minor works and stuff like that on her day-to-day jobs. I know some of you guys might use the sort of e-cert, I want to say, something like that. But yeah, how do you do your fuse board changes? Do you test? What do you test? Do you do your testing before, after? Do you always do an EICR? And then how do you do your certificates? Well, are you using the NIC website, or are you using some kind of software? It'd be good to know. So one of the things that I'm concerned about in this property, just because of the age of the wiring and stuff, is going to be borrowed neutrals. It's where they take sort of the live from the downstairs lighting circuit, but then they'll nick the neutral from the upstairs lighting circuit, which usually isn't a problem for an old board like this. But when you change it for an RCD protected board, basically, the RCD is looking for an imbalance between live and neutral. So what will happen if you don't find this type of problem is as soon as you put the new board in, it's going to basically see that imbalance when you turn the upstairs or downstairs lighting on. It's just going to trip. So the way to find that, or the way that I do it, it's quite simple. I thought I'd show you on this one, just because it's going to be easier to show you. So what we've got is, we've got, say, this is the downstairs and this is the neutral for downstairs. So I've sort of put these left and right so we know which one's which. And that is, say, the upstairs with the upstairs neutral. Right, so get this, well, we use Mega, but Fluke, whatever your thing is, set it to installation resistance. Just set it to 250 in case you accidentally join live and neutral and all the lamps are in place. Test, wait for that to go across, and then press the red one and that will lock it if you didn't know that already. You have to have the switch on for the two-way lighting circuit so that the upstairs and the downstairs sort of lights are on. But basically you want to get that one on that one, so we know basically if we were to go on this one here, we'd know that we get a what would appear to be a dead short. That's basically just picking up the lamps on the circuit. But basically what we want to do, say this is the downstairs lighting, if they've taken the live up to the top of the landing but borrowed the neutral from the upstairs lighting circuit, then if I were to put my clamp on here, if we had a borrowed neutral, that would now show on there as a short, but obviously it's clear. And then if you just go sort of on here again, and test it that way as well, and obviously it's clear. Day 2 here now. Ran into a few problems yesterday, so I'm just gonna run through those with you. Right, so we've got these very old wall lights. Now, they're metal. Got one there, one set there, and 2 sets over there. Basically, what we've got to do is we've got to try and figure out whether they're class 1 fittings or class 2. Now, if they're class 1, you'd expect them to have somewhere like an earth tag for the CPC to go into. If they're class 2, then you'd have the double insulated symbol, and it has neither. So how do you then figure out whether the fitting is double insulated or not? I thought I'll ring the NIC, EIC, you know, just trouble them with it. I know it's only a little minor issue probably compared to what they're dealing with, but what the guy said to me was that you can't tell whether it's double insulated, whether it's class 1 or class 2. He said because of the age of it, you know, you'll never figure it out. And he said it's not our job to find out whether it's class 1 or class 2. So he basically ended up saying just do an insulation resistance, you know, reading between the live and neutral to the earth, basically, or the metal of the fitting. And if you've got an open circuit, he said, what is an open circuit? We were getting sort of 30 on some of them and 20 on others. But then that kind of leaves it to what is the cutoff? I mean, do you allow it 1, you know, megohm? But yeah, so he's basically said that they're okay, and if they've not electrocuted anyone in the last 40 years, then they should be okay, which I get it. But technically there's nothing to stop the insulation, because it's only single insulated cables. There's no sheath on the cables that run internally inside the lights. So how do you sort of figure out, you know, that the insulation isn't going to break down and then start touching the metalwork, you know, because it could happen. I suppose if you have an RCD, then that's going to trip out anyway, which is obviously what we'll be relying on. But yeah, just a bit of a weird one. So if you've got any experiences of this exact issue, drop some comments below. These wall lights, obviously we know that they've got no CPC for them. They've actually, the cabling's got no CPC in it. So like the old 60s sort of wiring. But the other issue that we've got, this metal dimmer here is not earthed. There's literally no CPC running down to it. There's a CPC in the cable, but it's not been connected elsewhere. That light there, metal fitting, class 1, not earthed. That metal fitting, not earthed. So you've got these two as well, old fluorescent fittings which are not earthed. I think there's a couple of junction boxes under the floor which, from memory, months and months ago I was here, pretty sure that I could see a couple of the cables where had the CPCs cut out. So I think that is the issue. So we're probably going to get the floorboard up, probably get rid of all the junction boxes, put some Wagos in, Wago boxes, maintenance free, and hopefully that will sort the CPC issue out rather than changing all of the lights to plastic.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
So the nightmare continues. We tested the socket rings, and one of them was okay end-to-end wise. The other one had like some huge 16 ohm reading for the CPCs, and both of the socket circuits both had short circuits to earth. So we've been flying all over the house, unplugging stuff. The downstairs ring was an appliance. That's just a dodgy, I think it's something behind the TV. So that's fine. But the one upstairs, unplugged everything, trying to find this short circuit, and it was still there. So what we did was took all of the sockets off upstairs, trying to visually see whether we've got any problems, you know, any kind of caught cables or anything like that. And it was all okay, apart from we did find that one of the CPCs had popped out the back of the socket. So that was our open circuit fault on the CPC end to end. So that is now like 1.5 something, so that's all good. But then we still had this short circuit for the upstairs sockets, which also sort of does the kitchen, bits of the utility. So then I said to Kate, let's just smash this out, get it done really quickly and try and figure out where this problem is. So we got to split the ring in half, test each leg, find out which leg is bad, split that one in half, test each leg, and just rinse and repeat with that one until you basically get to A and B, which is where you know that the faulty cable is. I just thought I'd share this one with you because it's quite interesting. I've seen this before, but not as bad as this in a domestic property. Look at that. Literally, I took the socket off. Well, I couldn't actually get the machine screws out. And I just said, Kate, go and get the hammer. And that is what is left of the socket. And the amount of rust that's come out of that is incredible. So that's what it was. And the back of the socket had basically just completely, probably started corroding, and then it's just completely rusted. So I think they've had a very slow leak over a very long period of time to have done that. There's literally nothing left of the knockout box in the back. But that was our fault, because we were basically taking that socket there down, and we knew that it was between this socket here and then on the reverse side of there, where Kate is now. So there's one which is where... Will you move your head, Bet? So that one there, that's where the cables come through. So it's between those 2 points. That is another one found. And so what we're going to do now is put all of the sockets back together. We're going to have to replace that one behind the fridge. We're just going to have to put like a PVC patches surface mounted on that, because now we've got no machine screw lugs to screw to. Once that's clear, we can then finally change the fuse board. And this is how complicated everything can be. So, you know, I don't know how you guys sort of quote for your fuse board changes. I know some people, they do like incorporated in the price, they'll say fault finding included and repair if minor or something like this. But I mean, we spent hours going around this house finding faults, let alone the bonding to have been done. So that's why, for that reason, we would say that it's this amount to change the fuse board, but we don't include any fault finding or repair, because we don't know what we're going to find, how many faults there'll be, how long they take to repair. So, do you want to say hello?
Matches.
Matches?
Yeah.
Old matches. They are old.
You've done a runner with the screws.
They're probably on the shelf or something, or on the floor. I don't know. Look at you, getting the washing machine out. I left it in there because I wasn't strong enough. I thought I'd just lean over it. But yeah, you were so strong. Right guys, almost done now, finally. Long day, again here, just more and more problems kept cropping up, but just finishing off. Kate's just doing the last couple of kitchen lights, metal to plastic. We're having a bit of trouble finding the class 2 kind of batten, 5-foot battens, so we've got to come back at a later date and do that. But yes, this bonding's all done. So it basically comes out there now, goes across there, under here, and then basically behind the drains. One of them will then terminates into the gas, and then the others come into here. Looks a bit like an octopus, but there's no other way of doing it. One is bonded onto here. We've had to, again, CEF didn't have any sort of clamps that were long enough to go around a 4-inch soil. So we've had to sort of do 2 and wrap them together. And then the water kind of continues up there and goes into there, which is bonded inside. And then we've swapped these now for double insulated bulkheads. And then the fuse board, or consume unit should I say, ended up like this. So we've had to kind of extend some of the cables, so we've just put that into a pattress. And then we've got the RCBOs and everything on that one, new meter tails into the meter. And then we've actually disconnected what was there, that real bad earth, put that into a nice earth block for them. And then Kate is just finishing off doing the kitchen lights. You're going to say hello, Kate?
Hello, Pete.
You haven't got a mic on, have you?
No, don't you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, so we're having to change these. What we were going to do was we were going to get the floorboards up and look at doing the junction boxes and reinstating all of the CPCs, but the time that we have here, we just kind of thought to ourselves, well, Kate picked it up basically. She said, you know, if we get the floor up, reinstate all the CPCs, that's not going to guarantee that our light fittings are going to be earthed anyway, because there could be other junction boxes that they've cut them out of again. So just to play it safe, we've ended up changing the light fittings basically. And then in a minute I'm going to put a little notice on the fuse board just to say no CPC on lighting circuit, plastic fittings only. So yeah, that's another job done. Don't know when we're going to be recording next, don't know which one you'll see us on, but yeah. Say goodbye, Kate.
Goodbye, Kate.